So picture this. You're a rising NFL quarterback, fresh out of college, smack dab in the middle of your rookie summer. You just got roasted by national media for driving a little too fast. Okay, a lot too fast. And the hot takes are coming like heat-seeking missiles. You got talking heads questioning your maturity, your commitment, even your future in the league. Any normal rookie would lie low, hide, issue a cookie-cutter apology, and disappear for a few weeks until the smoke clears. But not Shedeur Sanders. Because just days after the controversy, he walks into David Njoku's charity softball game, smiling, relaxed, and absolutely putting on a show. And when I say show, I mean this man walked onto a baseball field and dominated like it was scripted. A home run, crushed. Fielding, smooth. Swagger, unmatched. And the haters, completely shook. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. Let's be clear, this wasn't just some laid-back exhibition. This was a statement. While some people wanted Shedeur to shrink, to disappear, to take it seriously by hiding from the cameras, he did the opposite. He showed up, owned the moment, and reminded everybody why he's got superstar energy no matter the sport. Because that swing, that wasn't just a baseball swing. That was a message, a reminder that Shedeur isn't just some quarterback. He's a natural athlete, born for the spotlight and built for pressure. And let's talk about the pressure, because it's not like he walked into this event with zero baggage. The speeding ticket was fresh. The media criticism was loud. Rich Eisen was on air dissecting his judgment. Mary Kay Kit basically questioned his leadership credentials. Social media, a firestorm. And how did Shedeur respond? He smiled, signed autographs, laughed with fans, hit a bomb into the outfield, dapped up Joe Flacco, chopped it up with Jerry Jeudy, danced with rapper Doughboy like he didn't have a care in the world. That's not immaturity. That's mental toughness. Because when your back's against the wall and the media is trying to drag your name, and you still have the poise to show up, perform, and engage with fans like nothing can shake you, that's when people start to see the leadership they've been looking for. Not in press releases, not in damage control, but in actions. Let's talk about that crowd reaction for a second. Because while the pundits were clutching their pearls, the fans, especially the young ones, were rallying. Shedeur got one of the loudest ovations of the night. Every time he stepped up to the plate or jogged across the field, the energy shifted. People wanted to see him, not because of the scandal, not because of the last name, but because of the promise. This is the quarterback Cleveland's been waiting for. Someone who's not afraid to be himself. Someone who doesn't fold under media scrutiny. Someone who brings joy to the game again. And honestly, that's rare. In a league where personalities are often stripped down, where young players are trained to say nothing, smile politely, and stay boring, Shedeur is doing the opposite, and fans are eating it up. Because he's not just a football player. He's a brand, a vibe, a young leader who understands that being relatable, visible, and genuine matters. Now, let's zoom in on the critics for a moment, because let's not pretend they're gone. Even after the softball game, even after the home run, there are still folks clinging to the narrative that Shedeur is immature or distracted, that he should be focusing on the playbook instead of swinging bats or dancing at charity events. But here's the thing those people always miss. Leadership isn't about being a robot. It's not about disappearing every time you mess up. It's about showing up, owning your decisions, connecting with people, inspiring trust on and off the field. And that's exactly what Shedeur did. He didn't pretend the speeding incident didn't happen. He addressed it, owned it, and then showed up in front of cameras anyway. Not for attention, but to support his teammates, raise money for a good cause, and show the city he's still here. That's what leaders do. They don't run. They rise. And let's not ignore what this says about his connection to the team. Because when you watch the footage from that event, what stands out isn't just the athleticism. It's the chemistry. Joe Flacco, Super Bowl champ, grinning next to Shedeur like a proud uncle. Jerry Jeudy, cracking jokes and dapping him up like they've been boys for years. David Njoku, giving him the biggest hug of the night. That's what matters. That's the stuff you can't coach. It's the kind of bond that turned a roster into a team and turns rookies into leaders. You think guys like that rally around someone who's flaky or immature? No chance. NFL vets can sniff out ego and BS in seconds. But what they saw in Shedeur was authenticity, humility, drive, and most of all, accountability. Let's talk about that word, accountability. Because while a lot of rookies would have come out with a rehearsed, PR-approved apology after the speeding story dropped, Shedeur didn't go that route. He looked into the camera, calmly said he made a mistake, and didn't make excuses. No, I was late to practice spin. No, I didn't realize how fast I was going. Just a straightforward, I messed up, and then he went back to work. That's leadership, not perfection, not performance, just consistency. And what's wild is this might have been the best thing to happen to him early in his career, because now he's faced adversity, he's felt the heat, and he's already shown that he won't crumble under pressure. In fact, he might be better because of it. Think about the narrative shift happening right now. A week ago, Shedeur was a reckless rookie getting torched on ESPN. Today, he's a charismatic fan favorite lighting up charity games and winning over teammates. That's how fast the story changes when you own your truth and keep showing up. And if this is how he responds to controversy now, imagine what he'll look like come week 1. When the lights are on, the real games begin and he steps onto the field not just as a prospect, but as a leader. Because this isn't just about redemption. It's about momentum. And right now, Shedeur Sanders is all of it. So to the critics still holding on to outdated narratives, let it go. You saw the tape. You saw the smile. You saw the home run. You saw a young man who understands a moment, respects the game, and refuses to be defined by one mistake. And to the fans who showed up, cheered loud, and embraced him through the storm, you're witnessing something special. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't just dominating football. He's dominating the spotlight, with grace, with grit, and with joy. And that is insane. What makes this moment with Shedeur Sanders so powerful isn't just that he crushed a softball. It's what the moment symbolizes. This wasn't just a swing at a charity game. It was a metaphor, a narrative reset, a symbolic middle finger to everyone who tried to define him by one misstep. And the fact that he did it with style, without gloating, without overcompensating, speaks volumes about who he is becoming, both as an athlete and as a public figure. The energy around Shedeur has shifted. This wasn't just damage control. It was a coming-of-age sequence, happening right in front of cameras. Because what Shedeur proved, without saying a word, was that he's not going to be controlled by outside noise. He'll acknowledge it. Sure, he'll be responsible for his actions, but he will not let it control his narrative. And in today's media landscape, that's incredibly rare. Most rookies come into the league terrified of making the wrong impression. One wrong answer, one awkward quote, one moment of real human error, and they're skewered. We've seen it time and time again. Young players labeled before they even get their footing. But Shedeur isn't playing that game. He's writing his own script. And here's the most impressive part. He's doing it without trying to prove the haters wrong in an angry, vengeful way. He's not out here posting cryptic Instagram stories or subtweeting sports anchors. He's not doing podcast rants or putting out vague apologies crafted by a PR firm. He's just being present, working, competing, living, and in the process, he's winning people over. Let's talk about that charisma for a second, because it's not something you can fake, and Shedeur has it in spades. You saw it in the way he interacted with fans at the softball game, kids sprinting over for autographs, parents calling his name like he's already a household favorite, teens holding up signs that say, QB1. You can't manufacture that kind of connection. It's not bought, it's earned. And the reason people are gravitating toward him is simple. He's real. He doesn't talk like a media-trained robot. He doesn't walk around with a forced, humble but focused posture. He's relaxed, grounded, human. He laughs. He dances. He messes around with teammates. He doesn't try to be above anything. That accessibility is exactly what makes him magnetic, because fans don't just want highlight reels. They want someone who feels like one of them, someone who makes mistakes, grows from them, and still shows up with joy and confidence. And right now, that's Shedeur. Now, let's not pretend this was some throwaway moment in the offseason. Everything in the NFL is narrative. Every tweet, every soundbite, every video clip has the power to reshape perception. And when you're a rookie quarterback, your entire brand is constantly under construction. Every move you make adds a brick or tears one down. This softball game wasn't just about softball. It was about how Shedeur responds to pressure, scrutiny, and controversy. It was a live test of his mental durability, and he passed with flying colors. Because what most people didn't realize is that this wasn't just a fan event. It was a stage to either shrink or shine. And what did Shedeur do? He showed up and owned the entire spotlight. He didn't act like someone who had something to prove. He acted like someone who already knew who he was, and just reminded the rest of us. And let's be honest, Cleveland needed this moment. For years, the franchise has been synonymous with quarterback drama. From Manziel to Mayfield, from washed veterans to one-season wonders, the carousel never stopped spinning. What the city has been starved for isn't just wins, it's identity. They want someone to believe in, someone they can root for without reservation, someone who can be the face of a franchise without crumbling under pressure or retreating behind generic post-game quotes. Shedeur Sanders just showed why he might be that guy. Because being a quarterback in Cleveland isn't about stats. It's about heart, poise, the ability to ride the waves without getting lost in the current. And Shedeur, he's surfing that wave like a natural. It also says a lot about the Browns' locker room that Shedeur has been embraced so quickly. These are grown men, professionals, guys who've seen rookies come and go. They don't hand out respect for free. But when you see vets like Flacco, Judy, and Njoku cracking jokes with Shedeur standing beside him in public, supporting him in moments of controversy, it's clear they believe in him. And that belief, that's everything. Because talent without trust doesn't work. You need the locker room behind you. You need to earn that huddle. And Shedeur is doing just that, not by being flashy, but by being solid, showing up, being coachable, owning his actions, laughing when it's time to laugh, locking in when it's time to compete. That's what builds credibility. That's what builds team. Let's not forget what this moment also reveals about us, the fans and the media, because we're quick to judge, quick to react, quick to click and share when something messy breaks the surface. But how many of us pause to watch what happens next? Do we follow the story when the apology is made? When the athlete does the hard work of repairing their image, not with spin, but with actions? Shedeur's story isn't about a home run or a party. It's about follow-through. He made a mistake. He admitted it, and then he did something about it. He faced a fire and kept walking. How many people in the league or in life can say they've done the same? And while we're here, let's talk about joy, because that's the part of the Shedeur story that people forget when they reduce him to controversy headlines. This guy loves what he does. You see it when he throws, when he celebrates, when he jokes with teammates, when he shows up to play baseball like it's Game 7 of the World Series. That joy, it's infectious. It lifts teams. It connects fans. And it wins games. Not by itself, but joy is fuel. It's what keeps players from burning out. It's what separates those who endure from those who fade. And Shedeur, he has it in spades. It's in his smile, his posture, the way he handles setbacks, the way he celebrates others. That's the stuff championship teams are built on. So where does this leave us? We've got a rookie quarterback who just stared down controversy, walked into a packed charity event, lit up the field in another sport, and won the hearts of a fan base desperate for hope. And he did it with humility, with class, with swagger, not performative, not manufactured, just authentic. This is more than just a bounce-back story. It's a signal that Shedeur Sanders isn't here to survive the league. He's here to shape it. And whether you're already riding with him or just now seeing what the hype is about, know this. The journey has only just begun. He's going to make mistakes. He's going to face criticism. But if this week has proven anything, it's that he knows exactly how to handle it. With joy, with strength, with vision. And when the lights are brightest, He's not blinking. There's something about Shedeur Sanders that's striking a nerve, and not just in Cleveland. Across the league, from front offices to fans, people are waking up to a new kind of quarterback presence. One that doesn't fit the old mold. One that doesn't apologize for having a personality. One that doesn't hide behind cliché sound bites, and one day at a time answers. Shedeur isn't here to play pretend. He's here to be real. And that's making some people very uncomfortable. Because for decades, quarterbacks have been groomed to be safe, emotionally beige, just enough charisma to sell jerseys, but not enough to challenge the narrative. They're expected to be polished, but passive, relatable, but never too raw, confident, but never confrontational. Shedeur Sanders breaks that blueprint wide open. He's confident, but grounded, charismatic, but thoughtful, public-facing, but fully himself. He doesn't contort to fit the image of what people think a franchise quarterback should look or sound like. He's rewriting the archetype in real time. And the moment that softball soared into the stands during David Njoku's charity event, that wasn't just a highlight. That was a pivot point. It was the exact second where control of his public image shifted, from the critics, the talking heads, the he needs to grow up crew, back to him. Let's be clear, none of this is accidental. Shedeur is extremely aware of how the world sees him, how quick people are to misread confidence as arrogance, how fast a single mistake becomes a narrative, how young black quarterbacks are still, to this day, held to a different behavioral standard than their peers. He knows the script, but instead of playing defense, he's playing offense. Every move he makes now feels intentional, but not staged, thoughtful, but not overly calculated. He's walking that nearly impossible line between athlete and brand, teammate and individual, rookie and leader. And the reason he's doing it so well, he's been preparing for this his entire life. Because being the son of Deion Sanders doesn't just come with legacy, it comes with scrutiny. And Shedeur's had a front row seat to both the spotlight and the heat since childhood. He learned early that being great isn't enough. You have to carry it, own it, live it. So when he steps up to a mic and calmly addresses a mistake like speeding, without blame, without spin, just accountability, it lands. Because it's not a PR move. It's a product of preparation. Now let's talk leadership, because this is where Shedeur's value to the Browns really starts to emerge. Leadership, especially at the quarterback position, isn't just about play calls and pre-snap reads. It's about emotional energy. What do you bring into the locker room? Onto the field? Into the huddle? Are you the guy who keeps heads up after a fumble? Who delivers confidence during chaos? Who says, "my bad," before pointing fingers? That's what teammates look for. That's what coaches feel. And when you look at how Shedeur handled the media firestorm, then turn around and drop bombs at a charity event with a smile on his face, that's emotional stability. That's poise. That's leader behavior. Especially when it would have been so easy to hide. Most players, rookie or vet, would have skipped the softball game, or showed up and stayed low-key, or walked in with their head down, trying to just get through it. But Shedeur, he danced. He played hard. He took selfies. He joked with fans and teammates. He showed joy when people expected shame. That shift in tone, that matters more than any press release. It says, I'm not defined by my mistake. I'm defined by how I respond to it. And this, right here, is where the conversation starts to transcend sports. Because what we're seeing isn't just an athlete learning to navigate pressure. We're watching a young man learn how to own his humanity in public, a place where very few people are ever allowed to do so. That's what makes this moment resonate. Shedeur didn't act like the speeding ticket didn't matter. He didn't try to justify it. He accepted the consequences, and then he got back to living, working, laughing, growing. That's the part of the journey people relate to. That's what turns casual fans into loyal ones. Because they don't just see a quarterback, they see a person who stumbled, got up, smiled, and swung for the fences. Literally. Now, let's bring it back to Cleveland for a moment. Because while the national spotlight is catching up to the Shedeur show, this city, it already feels it. There's a buzz here that hasn't existed since, well, maybe never. Not like this. Not with a quarterback who feels this new. It's not the typical next man up excitement. It's not a recycled veteran with one last shot. It's not a rebuild savior. It's something different. It's a culture shift. Shedeur represents more than talent. He represents freedom. Freedom from fear, from overcorrection, from playing scared. He's bringing joy back to the franchise. Swagger, realness, the kind of energy that turns a franchise into a movement. And don't think for a second that the Browns front office isn't seeing that. Because as much as NFL teams love stats and scouting reports, they love one thing more: momentum. And Shedeur has it, not just from highlight plays, but from everything else. The way the locker room moves around him, the way the crowd reacts to him, the way the cameras can't seem to look away. That's the kind of gravity that changes the entire trajectory of a team. But let's not pretend the journey's over. If anything, it's just getting harder. Now that the narratives have shifted, now that the media is watching for every move, Shedeur has to keep earning it. Every day, every rep, every quote. Because there will be more critics, more challenges, more moments where he slips or hesitates or gets it wrong. And when that happens, we'll get to see the next evolution. Because what this softball game showed us is that Shedeur isn't afraid of being misunderstood. He just wants to be seen. And now that we're finally seeing him for who he is, not who the headlines made him out to be, the conversation around him has completely changed. From can he be a leader, to how far can he go? From is he a risk, to is he the future? And if this trajectory holds, if he keeps showing up with the same clarity, fire, and joy, he's not just going to be the face of the Browns. He's going to be one of the most influential athletes of his generation. Not because he's perfect, but because he's authentic, because he owns it, because he's real. So if you're still clinging to the old narratives, let it go. This isn't about a mistake. It's about what came next. And what came next was a home run. On the field and in the moment, Shedeur Sanders didn't just dominate at a charity softball game. He reminded us what leadership really looks like. He reminded us that joy is power. And he reminded us that when someone owns their story, you can't write them off. Only they get to write the next chapter. And something tells me Shedeur is just getting started. If you're as hyped about Shedeur's rise as we are, drop a comment below. Was the home run the ultimate clapback? Should the media back off and let the kid grow? And if you're riding with Shedeur through the highs, lows, and dingers, you already know. Subscribe now, because this story is just getting started.